Hello and welcome to a tutorial video for Hytale's soundtrack Traveling Band on guitar. What you need to know before we start is that I'm in standard E tuning, but I have a capo on the first fret, making it F, B flat, E flat, A flat, C, and F. So it sounds like this. I'm using my acoustic. You could use an electric on a clean setting, but if you do have an acoustic, I recommend using that, putting in a little extra work because it sounds better. Just a disclaimer, this is not the official way or the exact way to play the song. This is just my arrangement after listening to the song by ear. And lastly, this is my first tutorial I've ever done, so if I skim over anything or if something isn't clear, post a comment and I'll try to clear it up. Okay, so the first 30 seconds of the song is by far the hardest, but it only gets easier from here, so I'll keep going. Starting off the song, we just have a few simple notes, nothing crazy going on here. So what you want to do is you want to fret the 5th fret of the 3rd string with your pinky, and the 5th fret of the 4th string with your ring finger. And the timing's a little bit offbeat, so here's how it goes. It goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You really gotta wait for that last note there. So coming right off those notes in the beginning, we have to plop down our A minor shaped bar chord, like this. And that would give us C minor, and I'll put a diagram on the screen so you know exactly what that is. And we give it a light strum, not a hard strum, and we don't go all the way down to the 1st string either. We don't play that note at all, or else it's gonna sound like garbage. So we start strumming on the 5th string here. We don't play the 6th string either. I suppose you could, but it's not necessary. So we start here, and we lightly strum down to the 2nd string. Then we pull off with our 2nd finger, revealing this note that you should have fretted by your 1st finger here, your index finger. And if it doesn't sound clean, or you can't hear it at all, then that means you're not pressing down hard enough with your 1st finger. I find it helps to roll it sideways just a tad. And if you still can't get it, I'd recommend trying to practice your bar chords a little bit more. So after that, we just have 3 notes that you pick, real simple. Your 3rd string to your 4th string to your 3rd string again. We're not changing shape on this hand at all, we're just picking with this hand. So it goes like this slowly. So after we play around this bar chord a little bit, we change shape on the next measure to something that looks like this. Now what this is just your 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And your ring finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. Now here is where a technique called hybrid picking is going to come in. I'm going to pick the 5th string open to give us the B flat note here. And at the same time, I'm going to use my ring finger to pick the 3rd string, which is fretted on the 3rd fret here by my index finger. And so it should sound something like this. They're the same note, they're just octaves of each other. And after that, I just pick normally the 5th fret of the 4th string here. So it goes like this. And then we do a little fancy hammer on here. So we pick the 3rd string and then hammer on with our pinky on the 5th fret. So it's going from our 1st finger here to our pinky here. And also at the same time that we hammer on the pinky, we're going to hammer on our middle finger to the 6th string on the 4th fret. Now don't worry if this doesn't sound clean at all at first, because that's what happened for me, but after a few days of practice, it does sound really good. So after you get that down, again, slowly it should sound like this. You're just going to want to take all your fingers off and fret the 3rd fret of the 4th string. So count it out, that would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we take our thumb and fret the 3rd fret on the 6th string. But again, using that hybrid picking technique, we're going to take our ring finger and we're going to pick the 1st string at the same time. So that would leave us with this. And nothing is fretting the 1st string, it's open. And then we lastly play 2 more notes, the 3rd fret on the 2nd string and the 5th fret on the 4th string. So slowly that would sound like this. So after we have done that first time round, we're thrust in the second time round right away. We don't really have time to catch our breath, so starting off with that last section into the second time round, slow so you can hear what it sounds like. What exactly is going on here is that we play this bar chord again, but it's the same time as the first time around, so nothing's different here. Usually we would play this note like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but this time we play it twice instead of once, and the timing's a little different, so it goes like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and after that we do the same hammer on. We instead just move it, stretch it a bit up to the 5th fret here. That's all that's different. And then we play this note like we normally do, nothing's different there. And then again with the hybrid picking, but the 2 notes that follow this are different. So it goes from the 5th fret of the 4th string to the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Fun fact, that is harmonic minor, so if you like the way that sounds, look up harmonic minor, it's a great scale. So all together slow, it would sound like this. So after playing it the second time through, all you need to do is play it one more time. But again, with a few subtle variations. So again, starting off with this bar chord, nothing's different. You should know this by now. It goes. And then again, this with the hybrid picking. And just like we did the second time around, we play this note twice and a bit different from the first time. But different from the second time around. Instead of going like this, stretching up to the 5th fret here, we're back to the 4th fret. And then another variation the 3rd time around here is that we play this note a bit sooner than we usually would, and we play it twice instead of once. So count it out slow. This would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we're almost done with our 3rd time round of our little section here, and you should be familiar with this by now. We play this. And then the last 2 notes here again are different. The 3rd fret on the 2nd string and the 4th fret on the 3rd string. And then we're using our middle finger and our ring finger here because that's important, because we need our index finger here to come exchange with our thumb, get out of your thumb, put our 1st finger right here and pick that note. That's the 3rd fret on the 6th string. So all together so far it sounds like this. And then we slide our index finger down to the 2nd fret, and you can kind of forget about what we were doing down here. You just kind of mute that out. And then play 6th string open and let that ring out. Now at the same time that you're playing that 6th string open with your pick, you're You're going to use hybrid picking again. You're going to take your pinky and you're going to pick the 4th fret on the 2nd string here. I'm using my pinky to fret it, but you could use your ring finger if you want. It's easier for you. By all means do that. So and then we take whatever finger we're using to fret this and slide it down to the 3rd fret here. And then play that open, that 2nd string open. And then play again the 4th fret on the 2nd string. And then we remember about the 6th string here, we just play open, hammer on 2nd fret with our index finger. So the bass line in total would sound like this. Really cool chromatic action there. So slowly it sounds like this. And once you get that down, it's downhill from here, and I mean that in a good way. It gets easier from here. So don't be discouraged if you can't get that last part right away, because I couldn't get it either. Just keep practicing and you'll get it. So coming off of this, we play this, slide up to that, and we kind of need to bar here a little bit because we need to play the 3rd fret of the 4th string, this note. We need to play that, so we use our index finger to bar that. And after that, we do a little hammer-on action on the 3rd string. We play it open and we hammer on the 3rd fret. And then play the 5th fret. And then we go to the 5th fret of the 4th string. And kind of let these 2 notes ring out like they're a mini chord or something. Add a little vibrato, spice it up a bit, give it some life. So far, including the tricky part, we have this. And this is where the infamous Super Smash Bros. Brawl theme comes in. I'm sure you heard it if you listened intently to the actual song. It goes like this. 3rd fret on the 4th string, hammer on to the 5th fret on the 4th string. And then open 3rd string, hammering on to the 3rd fret on the same string. So far we have. And then we just play the 5th fret on the 4th string. I'm sure you can already hear it. And actually we're going to fret this note with our middle finger on that last note there. Da, da. So after we play those notes a bit, we do that A minor shape to this shape, which is just 3rd fret on the 4th string and the 5th fret on the 3rd string. Wow, I'm getting real tongue-tied, but I'm going to play it slow so you can understand, starting with the brawl theme. And that's going to conclude what I consider the first major part of this song. And if you've made it this far, congratulations. You could even stop here, man, if you want. It's real fun to play already as it is, but if you're really into the song, I encourage you to go on and learn the full thing so you can impress all your friends with your mad skills. So, I recommend you practice that first section a bit more. Just get it down, master it, so you can play it well, up to speed, cleanly. Now we're going to move on to the second part of this song. So, even though I said we're not using hybrid picking anymore, we are going to be using finger picking a bit more. Just without the pick, you can still hold on to it, because of course you're going to need it in the later parts of this 6-minute song. But we're going to take our ring finger and our middle finger, and we're just gonna kind of pluck away at these high strings here. Now, this part's really repetitive, so what you need to know is that it goes from this little chord thing, and this whole time we're just playing 2 strings together. So we have the shape, 3rd fret, 1st string, and 4th fret, 2nd string. Same time, and then we go to 3rd string, third fret on the 2nd string here with our index finger. So, and we're picking that 1st string open, and then we go to our next little shape here, which is our middle finger on the 4th fret on the 2nd string, and then our ring finger on the 5th fret on the 3rd string. And then we go back to this shape, and then back to our first shape here. And then we pluck this individual note, which is the 5th fret on the 3rd string. And I would recommend doing this, leaving this ring out. Just plop your ring finger down here. Real simple, not too out of the way. We're going to change fingerings a bit because we're going to need to reach higher on the fretboard. So we just take our fingers off here and just swap them around a little bit. So your index finger is going to go where your middle finger used to be, and your middle finger is going to go where your ring finger used to be. I give it a little strum. We're going to take our pick and we're going to strum upwards like this in an upward motion. And if you are on an acoustic guitar, strumming it up kind of closer to the bridge than the sound hole makes it sound quite cool. And it's not a quick strum like this. Give it a lot of arpeggio-ness, I like to say, which basically means just kind of take your time, drag your pick a little bit the second time around. And we're using mostly the same shapes here, but in different order. So we start off with this, and then we play this shape, picking the 2nd string and the 3rd string here. And then we play this new shape here, which is our 3rd fret on the 3rd string and the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and we just bar this with our index finger. It's just a little bar here. So and we play the 3rd fret on the G string, so we just take our index finger and hop up on there. And we slide up to the 5th fret, kind of the same rhythm that we started off the song with. And then we just do that again. And now, after that, we're going into what I would consider the chorus of the song, which throughout the song is played 3 different times, and each time it's a little bit different from the last. So let's go on. So what you'll need to do is bar the 1st and 2nd string on the 8th fret, and you're going to keep it barred throughout this whole thing pretty much. So play the 2nd string, now the 1st string, now the 10th fret on the 1st string, to the 11, to the 10, to the 8 on the 1st string. Now play the 11th fret on the 2nd string now, to the 8 on the 1st, to the 8 on the 2nd. Now you're going to want to play the 3rd string on the 10th fret here, so fret that. Now give it a little downward strum from the 3rd to the 2nd string. Now play the 3rd string again. Now fret the 12th fret on the 4th string like so, and give that a downward strum from the 4th to the 3rd string. Altogether, this should sound like this. And the key to making this sound good is to let every note you can ring out. You shouldn't lift your fingers up if you don't have to. So the second time around is pretty similar to the first, but you're not going to play the 2nd string to start off. So starting off goes like this. And if you'll notice, we didn't go down to that like we did on the first time. We just end it right there on the 3rd string. Now the 3rd time around in the chorus goes like this. It's pretty much identical to the first. Now after that, you're going to want to fret the 10th fret on the 4th string with your middle finger here and get your pinky out of there. So play that note on the 4th string there. Now play the 8th fret on the 2nd string. It should still be here, but you don't have to bar this anymore. You can just play this note on the 2nd string. So play this and slide it up to the 9th fret. Play the 11th fret there, and the 3rd string now, which you should have fretted by your ring finger on the 10th fret. Now take all your fingers off, play the 7th fret, sliding down, the 8th fret sliding down to the 7th fret. Now play the 10th fret on the 4th string to the 8th fret on the 4th string, hammer on back to the 10. Now after you do that little hammer on, you're going to want to just play the 2nd string open. There's nothing fretting this, it's just open. Now play the 7th fret on the 4th string. Now give a little upward strum on the top 2 strings, nothing fretting them, they're open. So after you do a little upward strum on those top 2 strings like so, you're going to come back down to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string and play that. Leaving your finger there, you're going to stretch over to the 5th fret on the 4th string and with your pinky, and not play that yet, because we're just preparing for another cool upward strum thingamabob like the one we did previously. But this time we're going from the 1st string to the 4th string. Now make sure you don't hit the 5th string or the 6th string, unless you want your song to sound like garbage. If you do, by all means, go ahead. But it would sound like this. Now as you hit that 4th string, you're going to slide your pinky up to the 7th fret as you hit it. Now just make sure that 3rd string doesn't ring out open, because that is not going to sound good. So if you need to, just as you slide up, kind of rest your index finger on the string. So coming up, we have a part that's a little bit more thinned out than the previous guitar parts, and that is because the song is adding more instruments to the mix, and the guitar kind of takes a back seat as the song progresses, unfortunately. And since we can't pick up a clarinet and play that at the same time that we're playing the guitar, I've come up with a way to make this part a bit more interesting if you're playing it on one guitar in real time. So starting off, to learn this part, we have the 4th fret on the 2nd string, pull off to the 3rd. Now play the 5th fret on the 3rd string. Now wait a little bit and play the 3rd fret on the 3rd string, hammer on to the 5th. Now the 6th fret on the 2nd string. Now we're going to plop down our C minor bar chord here, and just like we did in the beginning, give it a little strum and a pull off. Now play the 3rd string. Now we're going to play, we're going to bar the 2nd and 3rd string with our index finger, fret the 4th fret on the 2nd string, so play this, pull off to the 3rd, now play the 3rd string, 3rd fret, Now play the 5th fret here. Now a couple harmonic minor notes in here. Now we kind of repeat. Now instead of plopping down our C minor, we don't do that, we just do this, which is, you're all familiar with that by now. And then we bar the 2nd and 3rd string like we did before, fret the 4th fret on the 2nd string, just like so. So pull off from the 4th fret to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, play the 3rd fret on the 3rd string, which you should have barred, and finally resolving to the 5th fret here. Now to make this a bit more interesting, you can add some harmony that the strings did in the background, in between of these little guitar parts here. So what this would sound like is this. So after that, we jump back up the fretboard again, and again we're just going to play mostly some more single notes here. So starting off on the 8th fret on the 2nd string here. We don't have to bar it like we did for the chorus because this is not the chorus, but it's in the same kind of area. So play this 2nd string here. Now the 10th fret on the 3rd string to the 8th. Back to the 10, back to the 2nd string here. Now play the 4th string on the 10th fret. Now the 8th fret on the 3rd string. Now kind of play the 10th fret and then pull off to your index finger here. And then slide your index finger down to the 7. And then you're going to start off the 2nd time around with the 10th fret on the 3rd string to the 8th fret. Now 7, now 8, 10. Now you're going to play the 8th fret on the 4th string now and slide up to the 10. And then play around the 10 on the 5th string a little bit. And starting over again, but this time we throw in a little fancy hammer-on action. So starting on the 8th fret on the 4th string, hammer on to the 10, and then same thing on the 3rd string, and then slide your ring finger up to the 12. And then to the 10 again, now to the 8, 10 again, and then slide your ring finger up again to the 12. Gives it a nice effect. Now play the 10th fret on the 4th string. Now the 8th fret on the 3rd string. Again, this. Now we're going to do some natural harmonics. Sounds really cool. So you're going to take your pinky, and don't worry, it's not that hard. You're going to kind of just lay it across the strings. All you really need to care about is these bottom 3 strings. So lay it on kind of the 13th fret where the silver line is, and do this while fretting the 10th fret on the 3rd string with your index finger, and then just that. Now slide your index finger down to the 8, to the 7, to the 8, and then slide it up to the 10 again. Now just play the 8 on the 4th string, slide up to the 10. So all together so far we have And if that sounds familiar to you, then good job, because that is this. It's just up here and played a bit differently. So after that, we are thrust into the chorus second time round, so here we go. So the second chorus of the song is not played up here on these top strings, instead it's played on the low strings, but much of the fingerings are the same. So you're going to take your bar here and you're just going to move it back here and on the 4th and 3rd string. So same notes, just octaves. So you're going to play it like you usually would. Now here's a little difference. Instead of playing it like this, like you would normally up here, you're going to have to play a fret higher, and that's because the intervals between the strings on guitar are not always equal, and if you don't care about that at all, let's just move on. So far we have and then just give it a little strum. Now here's the difference. You're going to end up on this note again. And then starting the second time, you do play this note, but this time you end up on this note instead of that note. So far we have this. Third time round. Identical to the first. Now we go down to the 3rd fret on the 5th string. And we pluck that and then get our ring finger ready on the 5th fret of the 4th string. Play that with your pinky, play the 6th. Now slide your pinky up to the 8th. Now reach down and get that 3rd fret with your index finger. Now we're going to do a little cool dissonant chord to wrap up the second chorus. So after you fret that note, fret the 5th fret on the 5th string and the 8th fret on the 6th string with your pinky, like so. Now play the 4th string open, now the 5th string, now the 8th fret on the 6th string here. Very beautiful change. Lots of dissonance. Almost creepy. Let's move on. So you've probably noticed this song gets a lot easier to learn and understand as it goes on. There's a lot less going on. In the first 45 seconds, that took like 10 minutes of this video. And in light of that, I'm going to cut it here. This will be part 1, and part 2 will be posted probably right after this video. So check the description, check the comment section, check my channel page. You have no excuses. You need to learn this entire song if you've made it this far.